Good morning, everybody. I'm gonna give everybody kind of a minute to realize I'm live. I'm running late. I apologize. That is something a government contractor should never be. The one thing government contracting teaches you is that deadlines are very important. And unless they're at fault and you can demonstrate that they're at fault, missing a deadline is not acceptable in government contracting. So I apologize for starting late this morning. Whew, almost didn't go live this morning. But welcome to this edition of Contractors Chatter. I'm your host, Luciana Turner. I have 21 years experience in government contracting, and I'm bringing to you this edition of the Chatter. Chatter is designed to be that up-leveled conversation around government contracting. We discuss legislation, appropriation, industry, trends, those things that you need to make an overarching strategy in government contracting. Understanding where to find the bids, understanding writing a proposal, those things are fine. Those are things that you need to know. But you also need to know what affects a true contracting strategy. You need to understand, you know what, and my hair look like it has not been combed. Oh well. You need to understand what goes into making a compliant and scalable government contracting shop. That is what the Chatter platform is for. That's why it was born to give that. I keep calling it an up level conversation, but that's what it is. It's to go beyond the basics and get to the, as the old folks would say, that meat and potato conversation in government contracting. So let's get this party started. I was reading a report. I had started reading a report that came out. Actually, it came out today. Quote: I received it in my email last night. That talked about industry trends, the stability. There are several companies and within the contracting world that do an amazing job at surveys, gauging the environment, you know, really capturing what's going on from a management perspective in government contracting. You know, what are the biggest concerns of contractors? What are they talking about in the back rooms? And I started reading the report when I realized I was late. So I'm going to have to read it after the broadcast and bring you some highlights from the report. And then I'm going to be attending a webinar this afternoon that is going to be talking about the COVID mandate and the rollout of the rules that's coming from White House, OSHA, Department of Labor. Because quite frankly, there's some stuff hitting the street that is on the street that's not entirely correct. So, and I know somebody's like, oh gosh, you're talking about COVID again. Well, as long as COVID is around, COVID is going to be a topic of this platform. I don't want to see, especially our new contractors, get caught in this political battle over the mandates. I understand people feel strongly about being mandated to do something that they may or may not agree with. I know people who have been vaccinated that feel very strongly against the mandates. And this is what I'm going to say about that. As a business owner, you have a leverage a lot of people don't have. You get to direct who you do business with. You get to direct the way you pivot in business. Whereas the average American who has no choice. They're either going to get it or lose their jobs, whatever that may look like for them. As a business owner, you have the option to pivot. You can, excuse me, you can decide not to be a contractor. You can decide to just go a whole new way until this dies down, blow over, whatever. Until elections, midterm elections, which is next year, I believe it is, until next year and see how it blows. With that said, right now, the environment um, we're under mandates. You have to decide as a business owner how you're going to operate. Plain and simple. I mean, I keep hearing people get into business rooms holding conversations, and they're not holding conversations as business owners. They're holding conversations as individuals. And I'm not saying as a business owner you lose your individuality. But what I'm saying is, a business owner, there are times when you have to put on that business owner hat and put that individual hat down. Or you have to wear both hats at the same time. And you have to speak from a business owner perspective as well as an individual perspective. And sometimes you need to remember, and at all times you need to remember, that your voice is the voice of your business. So each time you speak, you may be speaking in your mind as the voice of Luciana, but I am quite cognizant, I am quite aware that every time I part my lips, I am speaking as the voice of Alternatives, of the LT&A Consulting Group, of the LT&A Training Center, of the LT&A Company. And as such, I need to make sure that my words and my actions align with my corporate mission and my corporate culture, in my corporate beliefs. And if I don't believe it corporately, and the two, and quite frankly, the two they should match. But if I don't believe it corporately, I shouldn't say it. But with that said, the webinar I'm attending this afternoon is going to address some of the remaining gray areas around the mandate and government contractors. I do know that DoD has issued two guidance. Anything issued after October 15th, the COVID and the vaccination mandate is in everything. Anything awarded, anything issued as solicitation after October 15th, the COVID mandate is in it. Anything awarded after or start work after, I believe it's November 1st, the COVID mandate is applicable, whether you're working on a client, on a government site or not, or client site or not. There aren't any waivers for weekly testing, even if you're working from home. So there's that. The current requirement in under an emergency situation, executive orders have the weight of law. I don't know why we need to start teaching civics again, but I don't know why we want to debate this, because it is what it is. It's the truth. Under an emergency situation such as we are now, an executive order has the weight of law. So if you receive Medicaid, Medicare funding, the COVID mandate applies to you. And for this reason, you should keep your ear to the ground. So I'm gonna come back tomorrow and report on what they're seeing in this webinar. I'm gonna report back with resources if they name any. On my website, which I'm gonna start referring to more, I'm gonna include a tab on there. I'm cleaning up my website for 2022. There will be a tab on there which is going to say resources, or it's going to say chatter sources, something like that, where anytime I reference a document or I reference, anytime I give a resource, I'm going to put it on that website. I'm going to put it on my website for your reference. That way it'll be clean, it'll be in one place, and it'll just be a place for everybody to go to and for everybody to get this. So, with that said, I'm going to wrap this up with I've received a report on industry report, a survey about the health and about the health of the government contracting industry. There are some companies that do a great job with surveying. They actually do get a nice cross mix. They survey within each tier of contractors. Now, small businesses are harder to be included in these surveys for the fact that small businesses do not subscribe to these subscription services. And quite frankly, some of them are a little pricey, which is why if you're paralleling that, and that means if you're starting your business while you're still working, use your job as your funder and use that money to pay for a subscription to some of these services. It's well worth it. Um, and it's a way for small businesses, I mean, really small businesses, micro small businesses, let me qualify that, because under 250 million, you are still classified as a small business. For micro small businesses to be represented in these surveys. So with that, so I'll bring you like an update on that tomorrow morning. I'll bring you an update on the webinar I'm attending tomorrow morning. I'm also attending another webinar today. I forget what that one is on. I'm doing a whole lot of research. I'm getting my virtual summit. Registration is opening. It's open today. Being a power partner in government contracting, I've brought in some industry leaders. We're talking about leadership. We're talking about capture development. We're talking about what it takes to qualify your company. You really just, it's a complimentary, which is free virtual summit. You can register at LTA Contractors Conversation. Register, join the summit. It's the only way you'll be able to watch the summit and really just get into the conversation. Because we really need to know how to be powerful partners with our primes and with the government, our ultimate clients. And with that said, I'm going to finish this cup of coffee and get myself together for the rest of the day. Um, and I'm going to take a few minutes to gather myself because my mind isn't ready to be strategic or to create in any way, shape, or form. So, with that, I will see you tomorrow morning. Have an amazing day. Yeah.